What is up, Raider Nation? It's your buddy Murph from Raiders Fan Radio, and you are watching the Raider Homer channel.
Raider Homer, this is Monster Mash Ken. I just wanted to say you're doing a great job, man. It was a pleasure meeting you down in at the draft. Keep putting out the good work, man. We need more of you guys around to represent the Raider Nation right. And look forward to meeting you at a game next season, or this season. And yeah, brother, take care. Peace out. Raider Nation for life.
What's up, Raider Nation? This is your boy Mike Summers from the Raiders Fan Convention, and you're watching the Raider Homer channel. Go Raiders!
Hey, what's up? This is Raider Ty Brown, and you're listening to Raider Homer podcast radio show. What's up, Raider Homer? Raider Nation repping good.
What's up, Raider Nation? This is Black Widow, and you are watching the Raider Homer channel.
Yeah, this is Captain Jack, and you are listening to the one and only Raider Homer here on his YouTube channel. Why aren't you here more often?
Hello, Raider Nation. Welcome to the Raider Invasion podcast. I'm your host, Raider Homer, and today I have a very special guest for you, Captain Jack Rackham from YouTube.
Yeah, how you doing, Raider Nation? It's just Captain Jack hanging out with the Homer, and we are talking silver and black football. Raider football, baby.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, these are exciting times. We're less than 90 days away from week 1, Monday Night Football in Oakland, a game in which both of us are going to. So, you know, I'm excited. I know you are too, especially after the 2018 season. You know, there was a lot going on, lots of disappointment. But this year, there's a lot of hype, a lot of hope, you know. So after all the OTAs and, you know, everything that we've seen, you know, free agency, the draft, and then OTAs, what are your expectations for this year?
Well, you know, a lot of people talk with me on the various shows that I do. I do my own YouTube show as well, and I hang out on Facebook and talk there. In fact, I had been actually was lucky enough to do a show for the Raider Bear family the other night. So people ask me, and I actually say things in such a way that I'm not I'm not a rah-rah cheerleader, because I look at things very analytically. I do that for a living.
You're
That's
not a
my
homer?
job. Sir?
You're not a homer, huh?
No, I'm not a homer like you, Homer.
Okay, so back into how you look at things.
Well, I tell you this. The last year when I was looking at the schedule, and I said, you know, I don't see how this team could be more than maybe 8-8. Now, I got a lot of juice out of, you know, feeling good about maybe, you know, John Gruden coming in here and taking over the team. But I looked at it in the fact that John Gruden's first year in Oakland, the first time around, he was 8-8. So I said, that's our baseline. But the thing that was a little bit different between 2018 and Gruden's first time around was the fact that he had a lot of veteran leadership on that first team, whereas in 2018 here, he had a lot of youngsters, and he lost a very key component, somebody that I don't like to talk about. I like to say he lost 50 who, and there was a lot of different things about losing 50 who on that team. It was a divider in the locker room, and, you know, it was just a big kind of FU that the team had to deal with all year. But, you know, this year, things are a little bit different in the fact that this is another year under Gruden. This is a team that, although it's still quite young, has added a plethora, and I like to use those big terms right there.
Nice.
A plethora of leadership in all the right places. I mean, when you look at the people that the Raiders have already picked up this year going into 2019, of course, everybody starts with Antonio Brown, who the Raiders traded for and got for a song for a third and a fifth round draft pick. I mean, you just can't beat that.
That's a steal.
For a receiver that is probably, top 3 the last 10 years or so.
Yeah. I mean, that's a steal. That was a great move. Gruden and Mayock swindled Jerry Jones. You go to that trade, we get a first round for Cooper, right? And then we trade for Antonio Brown for a third and a fifth, like you say, and then we sign Brown, I think, we make him the highest paid wide receiver, which also screws Dallas because now Amari Cooper's looking to make more than Antonio Brown. So.
And I tell you what, Amari Sugarlips Cooper,
or Butterfingers Cooper, as I call him.
He doesn't have the resume that Antonio Brown does, and Dallas is going to have to pay him. Dallas is going to have to pay for Dak Prescott. Dallas is going to have to pay for that running back known as Ezekiel Elliott. Dallas is going to get tapped out on big contracts real quick. They got screwed, blued, and tattooed coming their way in the form of bad payroll that they're going to have to eat.
I mean, it's almost like what Al Davis did to us, For such a long time after contract. No, Will. I mean, Jerry Jones was an Al Davis fan. A friend of Al Davis. I think Jerry Jones mimics Al Davis. And that's just not today's NFL. That's why Gruden won that analytic award, right? Because he knew that if you pay Khalil Mack $90 million, you're not going to get anybody else on your defense. Instead, who do we sign? We sign Brown, Williams, Nelson, the other Brown, the tackle, Trenton Brown.
Right.
I mean, those are great moves.
Right. He used the money wisely. He spread the money and the wealth around for, like I said, the free agents and the trades. Like I said, like you were saying, you pick up guys like Terrell Williams, you pick up guys that are going to be solid players like Morrow that we picked up that was a free agent from the Giants is going to be coming in as a defensive end. You got Benson Mayowa back, who was a cast-off that's played well after he left the Raiders. You got Trent Brown. You pick up guys that maybe are a bit troubled in Richie Incognito, but you put a 4-time Pro Bowler on your team, and that's a good thing. You pick up some great guys on defense, although they are off injured. If they play well in the fact of having Vontaze Burfict, who's already a leader on that team, and knows Gunther's defense inside and out, and Brandon Marshall, if he can stay off the crippled list, her cord got immensely better. And then, so you already said who you picked up in the draft. You pick up Cleveland Farrell as your number 1 pick at number 4. You pick up Mad Max Crosby in the later rounds, and then a project in Bell that already has Raider upbringings. In fact, that he's a Nick Bell offspring. And, all of those good things there. You pick up some cornerbacks and Johnson and Mullen. So you pick up 2 good young cornerbacks. You're going to make sure that you have braiding onto your team, going with Gary Conley and Worley. And also in free agency, you pick up LaMarcus Joyner.
That's one that I'm really excited about.
It's really good what we've done this past off. I'm sorry I'm talking over you. I'm just so excited about what we've done.
No, it's fine. I'm just as excited. We can go back to the linebacking core. I think that this is setting up to be the best linebacking core, that we've had since, Barton, Harris, and Romanowski. Of course we had Howard and we had and Morrison. They were good. They were real good too. But I think that, on paper, this linebacking core is a lot better. Whitehead, he doesn't get brought up a whole lot, but he played solid last year. He played almost 100% of the snaps, right? If it weren't for those 3 dropped interceptions in that last game versus the Chiefs, that was a completely different game. And then if he gets those, he has a great season, but his confidence, his confidence is growing. as stated by, Burfict in his press conference by saying that, Tierra Whitehead is also making calls, and that helps take the pressure off of Burfict. So when you got, and Marshall's not there just yet, but that guy's going to pick up pretty quick, and so that could be the best linebacking core we've had since, the Super Bowl run. And it's something that the Raider Nation has been clamoring for a long time. We've needed a linebacking core. And then you go back and you start to talk about the defensive ends, Moreau, right? I think, and Farrell, right? So, when you listen to Gunther's talking about how Gruden said that, you got to stop, you got to stop the run on first and second to set up the pass rush on third, which, you can see people, that's Josh Moreau and Cleveland Farrell stopping the run. And, and then on third down, that's when you're going to see Mad Max or Arden Key, depending on who shows up, right? So, yeah, I mean, this is exciting. I want to keep talking, but they got who they wanted. And this defense is going to, I think this defense is going to surprise everybody, because you got Worley, who proven that he can play in the NFL. He's coming back, in his second year. Everybody's talking about how, including myself, how Carter in the system. So, Worley's coming back, and you got Conley coming back in their second season, and then, you got a nice piece like Joyner who, let's say Abram doesn't quite work out in certain situations, you can move Joyner to the safety position, in the slot. Or, if somebody else gets hurt, you can move him to the outside on the cornerback. I mean, that guy helps our team tremendously, and I'm excited to, see what he can do,
Oh, yeah.
So there's a
and
lot
you know
of
what? Don't forget about Harris back there, because Harris came on as a safety the latter part of the year, and you know what? He's a really good up and coming kid that played some ball in Canada and worked his way into an NFL positioning where he's a forgotten soul back there in safety, and there are going to be people on this team that who the Raiders cut at that final 53, and they're going to find their way onto other teams, and they're going to be starting for other teams. That's how much the roster has improved in 1 year.
Yeah. And you bring up Eric Harris, right? But so he was, there's at Silver and Black Pride.com, they had their OTA roster there, and so they had Eric Harris at the starting strong safety, right? And Joseph at the free safety, which I'm excited about because Joseph, I think, should be a free safety. But, they've moved Jonathan Abram up to the starting position. So now you're looking at Carl Joseph and Abram, as your backfield. And, I mean, Joseph, I forget who it was against, but last year, they threw the deep ball, and he just put on the Jets, man, and he cut the receiver off, and it was perfect. It's exactly what we needed, and he can lay the wood, and Abram can lay the wood. And so then when you're working in a nickel, right, with Joseph and Abram, in the backfield with Joyner, working the slot too in the zone. I mean, and then Burfict, look, Kelsey's going to have his games. He's going to do what he does, but he's going to be looking over his shoulder. You know what I mean? So this is exciting.
The Raiders have had trouble stopping tight ends for, I want to say, conservatively, they haven't been able to stop a tight end the last 20 years. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's true. When you look at, the big games that Antonio Gates has had, when Shannon Sharp was playing, getting Sharp out, anytime we play a primo tight end like Gronkowski in the Patriots, they just need somebody, and obviously Travis Kelce, who's in our own division.
Yeah.
Well, if Raiders can do something about just adding that equation and Xing out a big part of what's on a lot of these teams, which is a pass-catching, hard-charging tight end, their defense can only get better because they haven't been able to do it for years.
Yeah, I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of these tight ends killing us. That's why we need that linebacking core and these safeties to show up, Then that's what has everybody worried is that, our safeties are short, but we'll see how that works out. But we got to stop the tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the safety matchups, we're going to mix and match, and whoever we get back as our safeties on the team, I think that they're all going to play a hell of a lot of snaps where you're just going to match up, in down and distance and series and probabilities, and then you might even go with who's got the hot hand, who is having a better game, because I tell you, the people that we have in the secondary are young, fast, can cover, and can hit. And that's for everybody, from corner to safety and nickel. And that improves our defense tremendously. And one of the things that's going to help them out is the fact that we have that good rush this year, up the middle. Like I said, we have ends, tackles that are going to go after the quarterback, and that can only help them out in the back seven.
Like Hurst, I think Hurst is going to have a great year. He was playing well, and and Gunther says that he's getting stronger, he's moving better, and he's playing at a high level. So that's another. I think he's gonna help Farrell. Imagine what he would have done, how he would have helped Mac. I mean, and then and then I think based on what I heard from Gruden, how excited he was to see Vanderdoes. I think Vanderdoes is going to come back and start, at nose tackle because that guy can push the pocket.
I tell you, you have a higher. I don't want to say you have a higher opinion, but you're a lot more optimistic about Eddie than I. I mean, Eddie Vanderdoes, to me, is just it's a sob story. Eddie Vanderdoes could be so great if he could just stay on the field and stay healthy. And I'm not that I'm wishing anything bad there. I mean, I wish he would be able to do that. I'm hoping that he does come back. I'm really putting the torch out for him, but I don't know if there are people on this team right now that have so much promise, but they either can't stay healthy or, and this is going to sound bad, but they're, shall we say, from the previous regime, and they already got I don't want to say they got a strike against them, but they have to play that much harder because they are not Gruden/Mayock proteges, okay? And if they're not, they're going to have to be that much better than anybody else that has been brought in here within the last year or two. And it's going to be hard for them, so they really have to perform.
Yeah, I mean, Vanderdoes, he does have to stay healthy, but I mean, imagine him in the goal line defense. I mean, that dude was pretty nasty, So yeah, I'm hoping he does come back and stay healthy, like you're saying, because he can push the pocket. He'll collapse it.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he does, Homer. I really do.
All right, well, cool. So yeah, that was a quick little breakdown of what we think is going to happen or how we see things. So I guess before we get too much further into it, let's go ahead and give the critique a call.
What's happening, Raider Homer?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Sitting here watching more Raiders live final OTAs from the presser from 6/4/19. Getting ready to listen to Paul Gunther. What are y'all up to?
Well, nothing much. Here, let me merge the calls. All right, can you?
What's happening, Jack?
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, nothing much, man. How are you?
Hey, like I was just telling Homer, man, it's always a good day here from the critique as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's always good to hear from Captain Jack also. I'm sorry that I've missed a few of your Facebook videos. Just been real busy and just trying to keep my head above water. But I'm glad that y'all actually appreciate me enough for bringing me along. So this is actually kind of cool.
Hey, man, you were
No,
in one of my earliest episodes, dude. I'm glad you're back on the channel, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. And I'm actually glad to be here with like-minded individuals who know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, you know.
That's right.
I tried. All right, so we were
So
just talking about, you know, last year's, you know, compared to this year, the hype, you know, the talent on the rosters, you know, and kind of speculating as to who would be where or who's going to have a good season. So let's hear from you, man. What do you think is going to happen this year?
Well, I've been preaching about it this whole time. I think we're definitely playoff bound, especially like our roster in between last year and this year is like night and day. We have done so well in every position. We've upgraded. Our offensive line is really big. I'm really liking the way this looks because at least now Derek Carr is going to have more than 2 seconds to throw the football. It's not going to have any excuses. And then on top of that, look at our wide receiver core. This looks absolutely phenomenal. When I'm sitting here looking at the wide receiver core from this year to last year, this is scary. We've got so much speed. It's almost like Al's alive again.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's turn to the other side of the ball right quick. Let's look at defense. Our defensive line was already set from last year with Mo Hurst and PJ Hall. Correct?
Yeah.
Now we got Eddie Vanderdoes coming back off of IR. And then I know we got rid of Jelly. At least I believe we got rid of Jelly. And he won't be, is he still there? He's still there? Oh, this is even better than I thought. So not only is our defensive line already squared away, we picked up 2 defensive ends in Mad Max and Cleveland Farrell that are actually going to do very well. And then, of course, we have Arden Key from last year. And now our linebacker core looks great. And our secondary is completely different than what we had last year. If we don't go to the playoffs this year, I would be mad disappointed because we have upgraded at every position.
I tell you what, there, brother, and I appreciate your optimism, but maybe it's because I've always been a somewhat glasses only half empty type of guy. I want to see it before I can believe it, before I can preach it. And again, just because it looks good on paper, this team has yet to play one down together. And they all look good in their underwear, which is what I call, you know, you know, they all look good in their underwear, and everybody's undefeated, and everybody's going to the Super Bowl, and everybody's going to Disneyland afterwards, okay?
Well, see, the one thing I'm saying, though, that's a great way to look at it, right? You always want to be cautious, you know, you don't want to put your ass out there, but I'm going to go ahead and put my ass out there, you know? Gruden, this is a better roster than what he had like in 98. You know, this is a better roster than what he had last year. You know, this is a better roster than what he's had in the latter years at Tampa. You know, whatever it is, he learned how to build a roster, and he learned how to, I think, release some control over the roster, and so that's why he has such a badass roster right now. And so he's going to be able to win with this roster. I mean, whether it looks good on paper or not, you know, like Gunther said, he has his quarterback now in Burfict, you know, and Gruden's quarterback is more comfortable in the system. I mean, Derek Carr, this is a better roster than what Carr had in 2016, right? This is a way better roster, dude. And Derek Carr, that was a year that we had a tough road schedule. Derek Carr survived all that, played with a broken pinky and all that, you know, until the end of the year. But so, I mean, like, Gruden's got the best roster he's had since, you know, 01, right? Carr's had the best roster he's had. He's in his second year in a system again, which the last time, you know, he almost won the MVP, or he was in the run. You know, I mean, it's not like every year when Raider Homer's being a homer, you know, whatever, we're going to the Super Bowl. It's like, you know, there's a part of me that knows that we really weren't going to do shit after we lost Mac last year, but you try to stay optimistic about it, right? But there's a part of me that knows that this roster is not going to fail. There's no way. There's no way. They would have to have. This would have to be an epic, like a JDR epic fail for them not to win.
I would like to agree with both of you because for the simple fact, Captain Jack is correct. We always look good on paper at the beginning of every season. We're sitting there looking at our roster, and we look great on paper every single time, except for maybe, back in 06, 07, where we were really looking like we were lacking at a lot of positions. But they don't ever seem to come up and produce. Did produce was 2016, and that was from a lot of comeback victories. And that wasn't necessarily just the roster. Just had guys who were finally stepping up, finally starting to get the groove of things, people actually backing the coach and his scheme. And then, of course, then we know what happened in 2017 when he lost everything. But you sit there and you look at it, this roster is better than 98 because we have better players to fit the scheme, unlike what we had in 98 where we were just plug and play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so, I agree with both of you on that. I'm really optimistic about the season, but I do agree with Captain Jack. I want to see these guys play with pads on. I want to see if they can actually handle the adversity of being down 20-14 with 3 minutes left to go in the game. Can they pull it together? Can they bring it back? That's the team that I would like to see, and I'm really happy to see, I just really want to see these guys play. I'm so ready for the season. The off season is so boring.
Back to
I'm optimistic, and I know we're going to be better. Let's put it this way, gentlemen. Let's look at it analytically by the numbers. If this team is 100% better than it was last year, you know what that record is? 8-8.
8-8.
That's 100% better than we were last year. 4 more wins, okay? Which is still not a winning season. Now, I'm not trying to poo-poo it. I'm just looking at it analytically. If we even have a season that's 100% better than last year, we're still not a winning team. There are things that we need to do to make it a 150% better team or a 200% better team. And you're talking about with 150, that's 10 wins. 200, that's 12 wins. I think that their capabilities exist that we can be there, but it's going to be with people playing with passion and the injury bugs being away from the Raiders. Remember, these linebackers that you guys are talking about, who I really like, by the way, have been not able to stay on the field. We're talking about Brandon Marshall and Vontaze Burfict. We're talking about Eddie Vanderdoes, who's coming back, but he hasn't come back yet. And you're talking about making sure that people that are in key positions, like your tackles in Brown and Miller, are going to stay healthy, that Richie Incognito is not going to have a brain aneurysm of stupidity. And I say that in a nice way, by the way. I would wish it on everybody. But you want to make sure that the consistency is there. You want to make sure that Antonio Brown doesn't do something blatantly stupid from his media that he's not available. You're going to make sure that Waller, who I think could be a fantastic tight end, doesn't go on a binge and go get Miss Mary Jane, and he's on the ain't happening list. So there's such many things that can happen.
Yeah,
we have yet to see if Warren is a running back that we can count on with Jacobs. Jacobs, we know, is going to make the team. Will Warren be there? I'd like to say so, but who knows? Is not Curtis Martin, is Doug Martin. But I tell you, I'm sorry, I had a brain fart from way back when. If Doug Martin be there, we got.
Is he going to hold on to the ball? That's one thing I want to know. Is he going to hold on to the ball? Because if not, then he can sit the bench. We can have DeAndre go in there, and because you already know DeAndre is on contract, we can't get rid of him unless we're going to take a cap hit. So we're going to keep him in.
No, I disagree there. I mean, if they're going to keep anybody, they already just signed Richard.
Yeah.
Andre Washington, in my mind, is the odd man out.
Yeah. I would think that since they found a way to get Warren on the IR last year, he's definitely going to make the team. And Richard is also like a punt returner. You know, so he's going to make the team. Yeah, Washington would be the odd man out. But see, look, go back to what you were saying, you know, about Richie Incognito having a meltdown or Perfect or Andre Rison, right? Look, let's look at the comparisons, right? Gruden dealt with Barrett Robbins, he dealt with Bill Romanowski, and he dealt with Andre Bad Moon Rison. You know, Gruden knows his ego is bigger than any of these guys. You know, and he's got a Super Bowl ring, whether it's the wrong team or not, to back it, dude. So he's gonna be able to handle these egos, and because nobody's as bigger than Gruden, you know.
That's correct. That's correct. And I think Gruden has learned a lot in his age, and after failing in Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
you know, you
He
get
learned that
humbled
Al
when
was
things
right.
like that happen to you. You learn that Al was right, and he's going to come back, and he's doing the best he can with the hand that he was dealt with last year. We had to save money. We knew that we were going to have problems trying to re-sign Amari Cooper, re-sign Khalil Mack, and also keep a $20 million quarterback in Derek Carr. We took what we could take to keep our roster at, you know, at least with somewhat of a nucleus to where we can build through the draft and free agency for the next season. And I believe that he's done that. And then he added Mike Mayock. You guys got to think about Mike Mayock. Mike Mayock's not going to deal with any crap when it comes from these players. You know what I mean?
He's got a big ego too.
He's got a big ego too, and he's a no BS kind of guy. So I'm pretty sure that the egos on this team, the reason why they brought these egos on this team was to show everybody that, look, we can put all these egos on one team. We can show everybody that we can work together and that the sky is the limit. I mean, and I do really believe that this is a direct smack in the face to the NFL by the Raiders, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. I just hope that it reflects in the record.
Well, and again, it's really not about the ego, although that's a good segue. Ego does not win games, okay? The best ability for any team is availability. And keeping these guys fresh, active, and on a 53-man roster is going to be the best way we can win in this year. 19 is making sure that Richie Incognito, who is, pushing 37 years old, doesn't look like he's pushing 37 years old. He looked good for the time that he was out there. Remember, that year off really helped Marshawn Lynch, and Incognito has a year off. So maybe there's an expiration date of just this year for him. So we need to make sure that we bring those other guys along. And again, it's not that I wish or think that things are going to be bad for the Raiders. I am just of a certain perception that if you plan for a not so great happening, anything that good happens is that much better for you. You plan
Absolutely, I do that too.
And it's gonna be better for you. I swear.
See, the way I'm looking at it though, is like you talk about healthy bodies. Yes, everybody has to stay healthy, you know. But if the injury bug does hit here and there, you know, the guys that are stepping in have all have experience in the system. You know, Markel Lee, Kabinda, the Nick Nelson, there's some newer guys, but on the offensive line, good. If Richie Incognito has a meltdown, good's there. And if they have to, Gabe can switch. They played a little bit. Hopefully, we don't have to have the carousel, but they can still play the carousel. The player carousel if they have to. It's not. The newer guys and the new guys that they came in that are learning the system. They've been playing for so long that they're gonna be able to pick it up.
Well, that's good for the Mets, but remember, you are talking about a strong core of some really awesome rookie picks. Look at all of the rookies that we have on this team that are slated to make it, okay? We all can start with just the first-round picks. Like you said, you got Jacobs, you got Abram, you got Farrell, you got Mad Max, you got Bell, you got Thompson and Mullen. Those are 7 guys right there that are going to be awesome athletes and do great for the team. But the thing is, are they all going to make it? I tell you, even the fact that you have 3 defensive ends there, are you really sure that Bell's going to make the team? Because I'm thinking that if
he's a gunner, if he can make, he's going to make it. His roster spot's going to be on special teams. He would make a great gunner. He was a wide receiver. You know, he can run, he can
Yeah.
tackle.
Here's the other thing, though. You can only keep 53 guys.
Yeah.
Look at this roster right now.
Yeah,
There
you're right.
are players on this team that everybody is counting on, and if you do the numbers, you got about 80 guys, or actually I shouldn't say that. You probably got 75 guys that say, well, this guy's going to make the team, this guy's going to make the team, this guy's got to make the team. If you add up all of these, this guy's going to make the team, it comes out to about 75 guys. That's 20 guys, I'm telling you, that are not making the team that everybody's
right.
going to be, oh, wow, I didn't believe that. Look at it.
Yeah, because from the roster right now, there's going to be 40 guys going off of this team by the start of the season.
Okay,
We're
but
probably
like,
gonna-
okay, so if I'm looking at the roster, right, like Calzer's gone. Alex, this is the one that came out on the silverandblackpride.com, right? So, like, Alex Barrett is gone. James Calzer is gone. Roland Oley, he's gone, right? So, let's see. Gabe Wright, probably gone, right? Kyle Wilbur,
Right.
gone. You know, Tavon Connie, gone. You know, Koa Farmer, gone. You know, those are the guys that are going to be gone. But if you look at the 1 through 3 or 1 and 2, you know, those guys, you know, of course, Quentin Bell, you know, like I just said, he's on the outside, but I think he's going to make special teams. But, I mean.
Well, you know, you're kind of quick there. You think that Koa Farmer and Tavon Coney, these are guys that are perfect additions for a practice squad.
Well,
I'm
yeah, but
telling
that's
you,
if they,
just-
yeah, that's if they make it, right? They clear the waivers, right?
Well, and again, that the practice squad is going to be a very strong nucleus of people. I think that that's going to be really a good addition to the Raiders. But I'm telling you, a lot of these people on the 53, when you do those final cuts are going to hurt. And there's going to be a lot of players that the Raiders cut that find themselves onto other rosters and are going to be real good additions for some other team that is not wearing silver and black.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
I just hope we're picking the right people, though. I'm pretty sure we are, though. Like I said, 1 through 2 looks pretty solid, you know. And we got a lot of guys coming back, and then the guys that are new are all veterans. So one way or another, man, I see 10-6 because, like I said, Gruden's going to be able to win with this roster.
Well, I'm hoping you're right. I mean, like I said, if they're 100% better, we're 8-8, brother. And I think that we have the capabilities. We have the capabilities of being 10-6. But you know what? Look at that schedule. Look at those 5 weeks.
Let's talk about that schedule. Yes, let's talk about that schedule. Go ahead, Captain Jack, because I want to jump in on this right as soon as you get done. Let's talk about the schedule.
Check it out, okay? And I appreciate the spiel here. Remember, this is a team that it needs to gel quickly. So you got two games at home against division opponents, where you start with the Donkeys coming in, and then you have the Chiefs coming in right after that, otherwise known as the ketchup and mustard. Then you got week 3 and 4, where you are going away to Indianapolis and Minnesota, who, by the way, are playoff caliber teams. Then you go to London week 5 in quote unquote a home game against the Bears. Then you go and do a bye week. So those games away that are outside of Oakland is going to show a lot about how this franchise either gets themselves together or builds. Now, I'm telling you, it's after 6 weeks, if this team is 3-3, if they are a 500 team after those 6 weeks, that shows positives for this team. That shows positives, and I want to see that. But, you know, you got a lot of heaviness that goes on after that. And that's why I'm saying, even with that schedule, even with all of those miles that you have to travel, and that even includes a preseason game in Canada where you are just booking miles upon miles upon miles, all of that traffic, all of that wear and tear and stress on going from time zone to time zone is really going to affect this team. I'm telling you, it's going to hurt. that this team, if they're 10-6, man, that is awesome considering that they're going to have to play not only their opponent, they got to play the Zebras, and they got to play the NFL bastards that gave them a schedule from hell. That's a lot of people to play against in one season, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Now, I'm sitting here completely looking at the schedule, and I actually agree with you, Captain Jack. This is probably the worst schedule that they could have ever possibly given us. And then on top of that, they're going to probably try to put us on Hard Knocks as well, which is more cameras everywhere. There's going to be no privacy. Yep, and you know, and that's I'm getting to that point there, Mr. Homer. We've got the worst schedule. They're probably going to put us on Hard Knocks. We've got so many personalities. We haven't stayed out of the news the whole time. Wouldn't this just be a Cinderella story of us just going ahead and taking it all and going to the playoffs? Wouldn't this be something great for NFL films? Because I can tell you what, I think that's exactly where this is headed. We're going to be the first team to play in 3 different countries in one season, and we're still going to wind up going to the playoffs. And I believe that this team's going to be able to deal with the adversity of all of this, even though that they are stacking the chips against us. I've got this gut feeling that this is the team that we've needed since 2016. 2016 was a great team, but it wasn't as good as this team's going to be. And I firmly believe that. That's why I believe in 12-4. We take the division.
I don't know about the division. I think, I think we're going to split with the Chiefs, split with the Chargers, and sweep the donkey. So I don't think that's enough to win the division. I'm thinking wild card if 10-6 is enough to get us in. But, yes, that's a brutal road schedule. But I'm thinking, I think we're going to look. When we played the Chiefs last year, right, like you were saying earlier, if Doug Martin doesn't fumble, we're in that game. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think we're going to start out like 2-0, dude. They're going to come in. The Raiders are tired of losing. Derek Carr is tired of losing. Carr, he understands his offense now. Gruden knows his players now. They're going to come in 2-0, and then we're going to split. 3, we'll end up 5-3 after after week 8. Because, that's a tough schedule, right? That is a tough schedule, right? But, like, the Vikings, dude, I think we can take the Vikings.
Broncos, Chiefs, Vikings, Colts, that's first.
Colts, I don't know, but we might lose that one. The Bears, man, if Khalil Mack gets shut down, we're taking that one. They lost their defensive coordinator. They can't sign it. They got the sophomore slump's going to hit Trubisky, right? Things like that. Green Bay, I don't think we're going to win that one. But the Texans, we can win that one. The Lions, we can win that one. And then LA, in Oakland, dude. I think we're gonna do fine. I think that's what I'm saying. This defense is gonna surprise everybody in the Raider Nation. Because when we were in the off season, during free agency, man, it was just offensive. They built an offensive juggernaut, And Derek, go back and think of what Derek Carr did in his rookie year with Doug. What was his name? Doug Jones or the first wide receiver from the
James
Packers?
Jones.
James Jones, yes, right. His best wide receiving core has been Cooper and Crabtree, right? And these wide receivers are much better. Derek Carr is going to play well this year because, and if everybody's like, well, Trenton Brown, is he a product of Tom Brady's quick release? Well, man, Derek Carr has a quick release. And then you got Jacobs coming out of the backfield, of course, and nobody in the Raider Nation wants to hear that, But all the other team's defense is going to be able to stop us. That's the thing.
With the way our wide receiver core is set up right now, if Derek Carr has more than 2 seconds to throw the football, he's going to pick defenses apart.
Yeah.
He's never had a wide receiver like Antonio Brown. And then he's got a speedster, Terrell Williams, on the other side. And don't think J.J. Nelson is a slacker either.
Right. Look for him in the jet sweep, right? And then Winthrop too. They say Winthrop can win off the snap. If he can get wide open during the blitz, remember, in the early part of Derek Carr's career, he was really good against the blitz. But who's been underneath, except for Cook, right? But last year he just did not have enough time, and he still got the ball to Cook a lot. You got Waller that has more speed than Cook, dude, coming into his second year in the system. Gruden's not. I don't think Gruden's just gonna blow smoke up our ass this year. I think last year he knew he might have to. But this year, I think he knows what he's got, and it's gonna happen, dude. And when he talks good about Waller, I'm thinking that's gonna work out, I mean, it's just.
Gentlemen, I don't disagree that the roster is a hell of a lot better. I would say percentage-wise, it's almost a rebuild that's, I would say, 90% better than it was last year. And it's definitely better than the roster that was smoke and mirrors in 2016. The problem is that you have to go out and play the game. And there are people on the other side that are just not going to make it that easy for you. I say just because you can have as much enthusiasm and positives going for you, you got to go do it. You got to do it again and again and again. And remember, I take you back again to Gruden 1.0. First year he was 8-8. Second year he was 8-8. And the only reason why they were 8-8 that second year was because he went out and beat Kansas City in Kansas City the last game of the season to make sure that we were 8-8 and we kicked Kansas City out of the playoffs. What happened the next year was a 12-4 year. And by the way, while we're going with that 12-4 year, that was year 2 of Rich Gannon under Gruden, and he was an MVP that second year. Okay, it was that build-up that brought a positive thing to that. And I think that, as you said, this is Derek Carr's second year in Gruden's system. Yes, he is going to blow up, but there are things that we do not foresee that you just can't plan on. The only thing you can plan on,
like the injury bug.
Better, but will it be enough? I say that this team will be looking to possibly be in the playoffs. I'm not saying that they're not going to, but again, don't say that don't make plans for Miami in January and February right now. I'm saying that we can meet a fantastic team, and I honestly say, and this I will unequivocally scream from the top of any mountain, 2020, when we are in Vegas, we will be a team that is of such a high quality caliber and a lot of things going for us, and we should be an AFC championship team level where we will be in that championship game in 2020. We're going to blow up in one more year. I think that this is still that building block year, and it's going to take this year of seeing how we get things together. I'm not saying negative. I'm just saying that just don't be so damn positive. Let things come to the and I think that we'll be there by next year for sure.
Well,
Hey, you rated on my
8-8,
parade.
I would be happy. Yeah. Hey, 8-8 would be all right with me, but yeah, I want to think higher than that, man. It's just because it's nice to be optimistic, because normally during my videos throughout the season, I'm so pissed off, I just want to throw my beer through the TV. Because we're not up to expectations, and we're not where I want to be. And last year, I thought we were actually going to do a lot better than what we did. 4-12 was definitely not in the cards for me. I was at least calling 10-6, but that's my optimism. So I understand, Captain Jack. Sometimes we all need to be humble.
I mean, or grounded.
Well, maybe just takes the older, pissier, saltier pirate to be that much down to earth. I don't know, guys. You just got. Sometimes you got to have an old, grumbly Mr. Wilson to take people back to reality.
Okay.
Well, sometimes, but when we're 12-4, what are you going to say then? Hey, if they do wind up going together, you do realize that we could be a 12-4 team.
If they gel,
especially with all the comebacks.
We could be, and I'm saying if that happens, then I'm going to have 3 hookers on each arm. Celebrating. The point is, let's get there, and I'm out for the hookers. Like I said, 3 hookers on each arm in Vegas by the end of the season would be a great thing. But let me go there. Let me have.
Well, Captain Jack, I'm going to Vegas with you, buddy.
Hey, right? Hey, are you buying?
It's okay.
If I'm buying 3 hookers on each arm, they're all for me, brother. I tell you that.
Oh man!
Now, what happened to there ain't no fun unless the homies can have some?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to that?
I tell you what, I think you guys can it in the next room. How's that?
What was that?
You guys can listen in the next room, and I'll need to provide the stethoscope so you get a really good listen.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, you're too much, Captain. You're too much. You're also very kind, I'd say.
All right, well, cool, guys. I guess on that note, right, we should just go ahead and call it, huh?
Yeah, might as well just go ahead and sign on off, guys. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Jack's keeping us, check in a reality check. We're ready to go off, and we're talking prostitutes. That's great.
Well, right. Well, before we go, can we talk about our special team situation when it comes to our kicker and punter? Now, we did get rid of Eddie Pinero. I heard that we got rid of Eddie Pinero, and I believe he's kicking for the Lions now. I mean, don't quote me. Who?
The Bears.
Oh, the Bears.
Yeah,
okay, so now
traded him and got a pick for him.
Right, but so we hear a little bit of rumblings about Marquette King. Everybody's been talking about Marquette King, about how he wants to come back, how he's apologized, and I actually believe that his apology is sincere. And then we have Johnny Townsend on the roster, who obviously did not have a very good year last year. Maybe possibly he could, beef himself up and be a productive punter this year. But after last year, I don't know if I really want to keep this guy. So my question is do we go and find a punter in free agency? We obviously didn't draft one, thank goodness, because that's what we did with Johnny Townsend. But do we let Johnny Townsend walk, or do we let him try going on another team, or do we keep him? I want him gone.
Oh, may I please answer that?
Go for it.
Okay, tell you what. First off, I'm going to tell you that I am not unbiased here. I am a Gator, okay? And where did Mr. Townsend kick in college? For the University of Florida, okay? Johnny Townsend was the best punter in college football 2 years ago, okay? Now, was he a good punter last year? No, he was not. And we drafted him on capabilities. But I tell you what, I can almost, and you'd have to look it up, but you can go on the facts of whoever the Raiders have had punters that have excelled in college have not brought the world down, except for a certain gentleman from southern Mississippi by the name of Ray Guy. Now, when the Raiders have had punters in the past that they have put on their teams, they have not had a stalwart first year. I tell you, Leckler was okay his first year, but normally the Raiders have gotten punters that are a little bit more refined and seasoned, such as people like Jeff Gossett and things along those lines. So give Townsend an opportunity to at least kick into training camp. You guys, you got him already being cut for Marquette King, and Marquette King has not been all that. If you can't kick a ball in the thin air of Denver and make the team when you're cut after about 3 or 4 games, that tells you all you need to know. I don't care that he said that he's sorry. Well, you know what? That was good to hear, Marquette, and I'm glad that you actually came to your senses and said that how much of an asshole or schmuck you were because of that. But I'm telling you, that doesn't mean gibberish. All it means is that you figured out that you were an a-hole. Now, if you want to go out and sign Marquette King, then you must be on some mellow mushrooms, man. I'm telling you. Let Townsend be there. If you want another punter, you got the opportunity to sign another punter, but don't give up on the kid. He's only kicked 1 year. And again, yes, I am not unbiased, okay? I am a Gator. But you know what? Give the kid a chance, okay? And we'll see what happens. If he doesn't get out of training camp, then, no harm, no foul, really. I think he was, a 4th or a 5th round pick? There you go. So was Shane Leckler, man. Okay, let's see what we got.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, Marquette King, though.
Well,
Go ahead.
I think it's too late. The ship has sailed on King. And he goes back before he was punting the Chucky doll and shit. Remember, he was all friendly with the King Talib and all that after the Crabtree incident. I mean, he was just, I don't know, man. He was too. You don't want. We already have a hard time with penalties, so we don't want our kicker getting penalties and shit. But yeah, he had some ability, but Townsend, he's on the roster. Just go with him. That's how I look at it. And if Marquette King wants to come back next year, if Townsend doesn't work out for a league minimum, why not? Give him a shot.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because Marquette King actually happened to be a very good punter for the Raiders. Now, I do agree with you, Captain Jack, that yes, you should be able to punt in Denver, especially at a mile high in the air. But it's a completely different scenario. It's a completely different way of kicking when you're up there. Especially when you're a punter, it's not always about power. It's about precision. You got to be able to hit the corner kicks just right. And if the ball's floating, you're right. And if the ball's floating on you because you're not used to it, because you're used to kicking in a different style altitude, yes, that's going to actually affect you, especially as a punter. But remember, Marquette King was a great punter for the Raiders. And he also had that Raider attitude. When he did good, you could tell he did good because he would celebrate. He was the only punter that would actually celebrate that he did a good job. And I like that aspiration in a player, that he cares that much about his play to be able to go out there, do that, be happy with himself, and also help the team win. Because remember, how many punts did he have inside the 5-yard line? I mean, the guy was a baller as a Raider. And, I'm sorry. I know you're a Gator fan. Johnny Townsend is your guy. It's kind of the same way I feel about Derek Carr because I'm originally from Lemoore, California, right down the road from Fresno. So, I kind of feel I kind of know how you feel. But the bottom line is Townsend was punting at 30, 35, 38 yards. We can't afford that. So he does need to pick up his game. When you're at the 20. Go ahead.
How many Pro Bowls did Marquette King make while he was a punter for the Raiders?
I don't think he made it at all.
There you go, 0. How many times did he lead the AFC in punt average as a Raider?
I don't believe any.
There you go. So if he was such a baller for the Raiders, if you're talking statistics, the best statistic that I can say for Marquette King is, yes, he was very entertaining. Yes, he was great for a gif, where he would be slapping his ass and riding a pony. He was an entertaining person. He was a person that people could have fun with. But honestly, was he really all that? I mean, people forget that he was on the injured list because we were playing smoke and mirrors with one more year of Shane Leckler before Shane went out the door, and we gave him a, shall we say, a scholarship. I think he had hangnail that year, and we kept him on the injured reserve to bring back the next year. He was entertaining. He was decent. I think that's about the best way to say it. Entertaining and decent. But is he really all that? I'm not saying that Johnny Townsend is the second coming of Ray Guy or Jeff Gossett or pick a punter. What I'm saying is give him a chance. And if he doesn't work out, go get yourself a punter. But I think that if you want to have Marquette King as your answer, then the answer is to a wrong question.
Well, there you go.
Well, I have to respect your opinion.
Yeah,
it's basically all I can say about it.
Yeah. Well, again, I didn't, and I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just looking at it analytically.
Well, but I'm also thinking about situational football. There was a lot of times in 2016 that Marquette King put our defense in the best situation. I haven't seen Johnny Townsend really do that. So maybe we ought to give him some time and see if he can do that. But I know Marquette King did. He did what a punter's supposed to do. And that's, yes, he might have been a little bit flamboyant when he did it, but he did do his job. Pointing at 35 yards is not doing your job.
I agree wholeheartedly. Like I said, I'm not beating a drum for Johnny Townsend because I liked that he was wearing orange and blue on Saturdays before he started wearing silver and black on Sundays. I'm just saying that you drafted him for a reason because of his career at Florida, where he was the nation's best punter while he was in college as a junior. In fact, if he would have came out as a junior, he actually would have probably had a better worthwhile. He actually, as a senior, got taken by a punter, one of the punters in Texas. So he has the ability. He definitely has the ability. He just needs to show it, and I want to see him show it. And if he ain't going to show it, then we're going to go to the next man up, whether it's Jim Grangelfarb from Pigs Penis, Iowa, or Captain Jack, who's going to take a bunch of steroids and take the hell out of the ball at 54. I don't care who the punter is, just as long as they do a job. And if Johnny ain't doing it, then, you know, Johnny, been great to have you out there for the team, but we need to make sure we have a good punter. But I'm at least going to give the kid another chance.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, then I understand that. Go ahead. I think there should be at least 2 years that he needs to be given. But, wow, if he doesn't do anything this year, yeah, we got to do something.
Well, yeah,
because we need that.
If he's not good this year, they're going to move on.
Yeah, he'll be cut. He'll be cut, and we'll be looking for a punter, whether it's in the draft or if somebody doesn't want to pay for a decent one. And, you know, like I said, I do have Jeff Gossett's number on speed dial. No, I don't, but I wish I did.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'd take anybody over Johnny Townsend right now if he's going to punt like he did last year. That's just my personal opinion.
Let me ask you something, Captain Jack. Was he one of those rugby-style punters?
He actually had a move or two where he would take one to the side, but from what I remember, he wasn't. He was actually a straight up and go punter. He has the ability to be a rugby style punter, or he has done it at times in the past. But I don't recall him being I'm gonna take the ball, run 2 steps to the side, and then kick it downfield. I just know that any time that I had Johnny Townsend on the field, he was doing the job. Now, this is something against Johnny Townsend, was the fact that the Gator offenses, when he was there, were pretty decent, so he didn't have to punt a lot. But when he did, he actually did pretty well while he was there. Like I said, he was, if not the best punter, the number 2 punter when he was a junior. I'll have to get the stats on that, and hopefully I can get that for you in case somebody wants to challenge me on it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I know that he was one of the best in the NCAA his junior year.
I mean, yeah, it's not. They're not going to get King back, no matter how much people want him back. They're not going to get him back. They're going to go with Townsend, and if he doesn't do well this year, they're going to get rid of him.
Well, I mean, we all.
If you want Marquez King back, give him a halftime show.
It's a good point.
You would love it.
You get paid. I mean, you know, hey.
Obviously, he did something. Obviously, he did something to where people didn't want to sign him. Yeah, because he was a decent punter.
Yep.
He had a leg, but he was doing something, and that made people not want to sign him.
Maybe it was his nightlife or something. I mean, I'm not going to. I don't want to speculate on the guy, but yeah, if he was as flamboyant as he is in real life as he was on the field, then yeah, I can see that guy getting in a lot of trouble.
Or just getting on people's nerves.
Yeah. Saying the wrong thing, opening his mouth.
Yeah.
Rubbing people the wrong way. I could see that.
Hey, actually, while we were waiting, I did look up and got Johnny Townsend's statistics in college. And this was in his, not really too far-fetched. His junior year at Florida, and I'm trying to see what that asterisk is. I'm seeing what the hell that means. Not looking. I can't see. There's an asterisk by the years 2016 and 2015. Let's see here. His average at Florida as a junior was 47.9 yards. As a senior, it was 47.5 yards. So again, and this was, and they both had the same amount of punts, 64 as a junior and 64 as a senior. So again, he was averaging in the high, close to 48. I mean, even for his career, he had a 46 average. So again, that is a hell of a lot better than he did for the Raiders. He was 35. So he was averaging 10 plus yards more as a college punter. So he has the ability. He just needs to show it.
Yeah, I mean, remember Carlson, right? He got cut from the Vikings for missing like 2 or 3 field goals in week 1 or whatever, and then he came on for us and he played strong. So I would figure maybe it's just a head thing for Townsend right now. He's just got to get it out of his head. Like when Cooper started dropping balls, got in his head. Maybe it's just something like that, and hopefully he can be coached out of it.
Either that or maybe the morale was so far down that it affected him too. I mean, that could be a possibility as well. I'm pretty sure the morale in the locker room last year after losing Khalil Mack and then trading away Amari Cooper, I'm pretty sure that morale was probably pretty far down. So I mean, there's a lot of speculation that we could do about this. I just hope he does better next year.
Yeah, me too.
Especially if we're going to keep him, dude.
Yeah.
We need those good setups for our defense. We got to give our defense a chance to play the game.
Well, that's
you can't be having them backed up on their own 30-yard line, man.
I think that's where our offense is going to come into play, dude. Right? Like they say, the best defense is keeping them off the field, right? Your offense keeping them off the field. That always improves the defense. So you're hoping, and Gruden, he's not like Callahan was with Rich Gannon. Gruden likes to hand the ball off. He likes to control the clock. He likes to control the flow of the game. So, I mean, I think that's where Gruden he's gonna go. That's why he built his offense first, knowing that, he had the right guys in place to find him defensive players that Gunther can coach. It's been but don't break, but then I also think the defense is gonna be a top 10 defense.
Well, you know what? I think with Gruden, people are going to say in Gruden 2.0, they're going to realize why there is a fullback on the team. And I tell you, with Alex Ingold coming here, and if he learns how to pick up blocks on a blitz, Alec Ingold's going to be probably one of the unsung heroes of this offense, leading for whichever running back he's in there for, catching passes out of the backfield. And again, if he learns how to pick up the blitz, he's going to be a prime member of why this offense is scoring points. And it's a kid that's a rookie out of Wisconsin. And he's going to be somebody that can possibly turn a game around just by doing the right thing, blocking, receiving, and picking up the blitz.
See, and I would like to go ahead and add on to that because we do need a fullback. We definitely need a decent fullback who's going to pick up blocks in the backfield. I can't remember the last time that we've had a decent fullback, besides, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this because we were a losing team during this era, but Lorenzo Neal. Lorenzo Neal was a great fullback. He could block very well. As a matter of fact, John Ritchie was a good fullback. He could pick everything up. But, I mean, we've gotten so far away from that style game in the past, 5-6 years? We don't ever really run a fullback. Last year was our first year of actually running a fullback, and we barely used him. So, if we can get a solidified fullback in there, somebody who can actually pick up blocks, give Derek Carr a little bit more time, I can definitely see that. And I'm hoping that either, I believe the dude's name is Keith, right? Who is our fullback right now? Keith what? Keith Smith.
If Alec Ingold can hold his weight on picking up the blitz, Keith Smith will be somebody you forget about because he'll be gone.
Yep. Absolutely. And all we need is somebody back there to block because that line's going to need a little bit of help with as big as they are. Even with as big and as bad as they are, we're still going to need somebody to solidify those blocks and also have lead blocks for the running back to go through, whoever that may be, which more than likely will be Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, it's going to be Jacobs.
Jacobs, it's going to be Jacobs 100%, but as long as he doesn't get hurt. And I really do. I've looked at this kid's story. I love what he's all about, man. I think that this guy was born to be a Raider, and I think he's going to be an absolute stellar piece to our explosive offense. Because when we're not throwing the ball down the field, we're going to be either dumping it off to this guy who's got Le'Veon Bell style talent, catching the ball out of the backfield, real shifty, real good low end, man, real good hips, dude. The guy is great. So I do think that we're going to be like a four-headed monster on offense. People are going to be scared of this offense, especially if Derek Carr's got time to throw the ball.
If it gels, it's going to be a juggernaut offense. I mean,
that I do agree with.
I agree.
Well, we all agree.
And to hold people down, like I said, we might be winning those 10 to 12 games that you guys have. I mean, I'd love to see it, but I definitely need to see it, need to believe it before I can preach it.
Yes, sir.
We're going to see it week 1 together in person. So, you know, I'm excited.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, it's going to happen. It's going to be a great year. It's an exciting time to be a Raider fan, you know, and it shows just in this conversation, you know. So
I'll tell you what, week one is gonna basically tell it all. If we can't beat the Broncos with Joe Flacco and their newly acquired tight end Noah Fant, and of course with that defense that they said was number one all those seasons, if we can't get through them, this is going to be. So week one's going to basically tell all about what we're actually going to experience this season. And that's why I kind of like that we're starting off with Denver. It's not the best team in the division. And I would actually say they're the worst team in the division unless we lose to them. And that's, that's going to be a hard pill to swallow if that happens. I hate Denver. So, you know, I mean, that I do believe that because, I mean, we don't have any teams on the schedule that are less threatening than Denver. I mean, Jackson? Do we play Jacksonville this year? I think they're a little bit less threatening than Denver, but I mean, Denver does not look good on paper. I've never been a big backer of Joe Flacco. I think he's a fluke. The guy, when he was Mr. Super Bowl MVP, everybody knows that pass was underthrown, and the wide receiver is what made him. You know, that catch that the wide receiver, which I believe it was Jacoby Jones. Right?
Yep.
Isn't that who that was who caught that ball? If it wasn't for him, Joe Flacco wouldn't even be a part of the conversation of those years about being NFL MVP. So, I mean, you know, there's a reason why Baltimore moved on from him. They shipped him to Denver. Denver does not have a good track record with quarterbacks. Look at how they treated Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow actually won for him, even though he might have been unorthodox. He still won for him, and they got rid of him anyway to go get Peyton Manning, an old quarterback. And even though they did win a Super Bowl with him, I still think they could have groomed Tebow into being a decent quarterback for them, or at least a backup, you know, to where they didn't have all these problems.
And you know what? I'm going to show my Gatorness again. I don't think any sort of going to a oh God! People pick a quarterback: Y.A. Tittle, Fran Tarkington, Dan Marino, going even to Peyton Manning. Himself could save Tim Tebow, man. Tim Tebow was great in the college game, but as a pro quarterback, nah, man, was not happening. So, and the thing is that Tim Tebow is great on Sundays, but that's for leading a church choir. Okay, Tim Tebow is good.
I don't know. Last time I checked, he couldn't sing.
hey, you guys are getting off track here, right? This is the Raider Homer channel, all right? Forget Tim Tebow. I hate that guy. Forget the Broncos. I hate them. Flacco is a Band-Aid. Okay. Flacco he's a Band-Aid because Elway messed up those draft picks. I'm not concerned about the Denver Broncos.
Well, if one last thing about, because we do have to play the Broncos twice a year, is the fact that Horseface Elway has not been able to get a quarterback right for the last several years. So if he continues that track record, we shan't have to worry about them in 2019 and at least 2020. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping that you guys are exactly right, but I know that if we wind up losing week one and here comes Mr. Negative out in me, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long season. If we can't beat the Broncos, we're not going to beat any stellar teams, and that's a really hard pill to swallow, especially with the roster that we have. But if we come out and we ball against them, then we know what kind of season we're going to have, and it's going to be a good one because that defense is a good test.
Remember, we were 2-0. We were 2-0 in 2017, coming off a big victory against the Jets where Marshawn Lynch was dancing his ass off.
Yep.
And the very next week, in week 3, we went to a certain place in the nation's capital, and the team has not been right since. So 2-0 is great, but it depends upon what happens after that. And
Yeah,
again,
but see, that's
week
the
3,
thing.
4,
Gruden
5,
is
and 6,
Gruden is not JDR. Gruden is not
Right.
JDR. Gruden is not going to lose control of this locker room. He will ship your ass out, and everybody was shown that. You know, and everybody said Gruden's not going to be able to communicate with these guys. These guys aren't going to look up to him, not going to want to play for him. And it looked like that. Everybody's like, look, ha, ha, ha. But they tried to run him over like they ran over JDR. He got rid of him, and now he's got a bunch of players that are taking pictures of him working out, talking about that's my coach. They're hyped up about him. They're all talking positive. This team is hungry. They're smart. Their backups are coming into the second year. You know, the new guys all know how to play. Dude, the Broncos, I'm telling you, the other teams have more to worry about than what we do. You know, because they're not going to see. This defense is going to dominate.
John Gruden does not play a down on offense. He does not play a down on defense, and he doesn't do shit on special teams. What I'm saying is just because we win 2 games at home, if we win 2 games at home, does not mean that is a great season upcoming. It takes all of the team to continue to do that on to the next. Remember,
week
at
after week.
Minnesota, at Indianapolis, and then going overseas. I'm saying, guys, always temper your enthusiasm, brothers. Always temper your enthusiasm.
Well, yeah, okay, I get that. I can go with that, but I mean, I don't think we're going to come out flat against the Broncos. That's just all I'm saying. I don't think we're going to come out flat against the Broncos. You know, and
I hope not.
That 6-week, you know, road experience is going to be brutal, but I think we can come out 3-3. You know, because I think we can win 5 games in the first 8 because there's just too much talent. And yes, Gruden doesn't play any of the downs, but he puts his players in position to, you know, and he has he's always coaching them up. You know, I mean, I think that yes, you know, always be careful with what you know your expectations are. That's the smart play. But I just something telling me in my gut that this is the year that they make the turnaround because they made all the smart moves last year. You know what I mean? And so, you know, remember, even though with that, you know, yes, this team needs to come out and play on the field, you know, but remember, how many games last year were we leading going into halftime or even leading going into the fourth quarter, only to have like 3 plays just blow the game wide open just because we didn't have the players to make the plays. We have the players to make the plays now. And you've seen Carr. That's the thing. If we had a new quarterback, I'm not feeling very optimistic. But we have Carr. And everybody's like, Carr's a pussy. He's playing scared. No, Carr got beat up last year and got up. He knows his body is back. You know, it's man. I'm telling you, this is more than
that's right.
This is more than just being overly optimistic. This is like just being able to step back and look and see, you know, and put things together. Like you know, when JDR, you know, the first couple of years, we, you know, once like the second year came around, you know, coming up on the third year of it, I just knew that they were going to do well, and that's just how I feel this year.
It was a very unique situation.
I think we can do it. I really think we can do it, and I think we got the team to do it. It's just going to be a matter of making sure that these youngsters figure that out themselves, that they think that they can do it as well.
Right.
Yeah, it was a very unique situation back in 2017 when all that political crap happened. I just think that I agree with Homer on this one. I don't think Gruden loses the locker room like JDR, although I was a real big backer of JDR because of all of his fourth down conversions that he had the season prior and his excellent play calling. But then he went and got Todd Downing as our offensive coordinator.
But Musgrave signed his own death warrant, man, when he in the Indianapolis game when he was passing with Carr when we had like a 2 touchdown lead, you know, and you saw Mark Davis pissed off, yelling, "Why are we passing?" I don't think that's what I mean. JDR did not have the command that Gruden has. Gruden has command of that whole facility. those players, they're not going to question Gruden at all. You know, I mean, and Gruden, the great thing about Gruden, the thing that makes me believe in Gruden is last year him and everybody's like, well, Howard's Carr and Gruden going to work out. Carr's a good boy and Gruden's the nasty guy, whatever, But then you see Gruden and Carr, and you see Carr putting Gruden in check. Gruden, he's like, okay, all right, my bad. So he has the ability to maintain control without, losing, leverage, I guess, or status. You know what I mean? So, man, I just think that Gruden he's gonna get it this year. He's gonna be doing that gambling jack shit, because Gruden wants to win, man. He wants to win, Think about it. If he would love to go out on top for Oakland. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's why I was telling people. Remember, guys, I live here in Tampa, and that I was telling people that the reason why Gruden came back was because first off, 100 million reasons why Gruden came back.
Yeah.
Right.
The other one was the fact that if he wasn't going back with the Raiders, he was actually contemplating going back with the Bucs, and obviously the Raiders had more of a cash flow in that respect. But the big reason why was because John Gruden realizes that he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do here the first time, which was win a Super Bowl as a member of the Raiders, and he's going to right that. He is going to right that. I just don't know when that wrong of winning a Super Bowl for the Bucs will be righted, but it will be eventually. I'm just hoping I'm around to see it.
I'm thinking within the next 3 years. Because think about how good this roster looks right now, and we still got picks. And the Bears pick. There's no guarantee that the Bears are going to be good next year, man, because they lost that defensive coordinator. That defense carried that team. So they could be 4-12 easily, and we could be picking in the top 10 next year or trading out. And dude, the cash. It's more than just the cash. Gruden came back because of the cash and wanting to right the wrong with his Raider legacy and Carr. He's been saying it from the beginning, and everybody's like, oh, no, he's getting rid of him. He's getting no. He came back because of Carr, and Carr 16 fourth quarter comebacks. That shows that he can overcome bad rosters, bad coaching, a bad situation overall. He can put a team on his back, and now he's got Gruden, man.
Yeah, and we still have $28 million in cap room, by the way, from over the cap, from what I'm looking at right now. So, even money-wise, if we do catch the injury bug, we have money to pick up free agencies to fill these positions. So I think they're doing an excellent job, especially with the roster that we already have.
Right. The
I
injury
think
bug
this is the turning point.
The injury bug, right? Yeah, but let's just hope. Let's just not even bring that up, right? But even if that does happen, like I said earlier, we got guys that are coming into their second year in the system. These are not rookies anymore. That are the rookies that are going to start this year are, I think, better than the rookies from last year. So I think. Man, it's going to be good. We're going to be good, dude. I don't know. I'm getting kind of lost here in what I'm trying to say, but you just stop and you think about the rotation, right? So injuries, they come because you're tired, you're worn out, right? But the rotation on the defense is coming. It's going to be steady, You got guys like a Max, and you got guys like Key that can keep Farrell fresh. You got guys like Vanderdoes, that can keep Hurst fresh. They can keep Hankins fresh. And Justin Ellis is still there too. And you got and if so the injury bug hits the secondary, right? We got Joyner that can, as long as he stays healthy, he can move to the number 1 spot or the safety spot, or playing the nickel, and you still got Carl Joseph that can play strong safety and free safety. And then if you have, let's say on 3rd and 10, right, if Perfect becomes a liability in pass coverage, you got Markel Lee, who was pretty decent at covering. Maybe his weakest point was in versus the run. But the depth chart is what's making me believe 10-6. We can keep our players fresh. They're not going to be as, and then the training facility, or not the facility, but the weight staff is it's all new now. So,
right.
I mean, I think that's going to be a major part of it too. Keeping the body
which
fresh,
is something I
and strength and
majorly complained
conditioning.
about. Yeah, strength and conditioning was terrible last year. So anything's got to be better than what we had last year because we had so many players out last year. It wasn't even funny. And obviously there was something going on there because they fired the whole strength and conditioning crew. And they got a new head now. Yeah, they chucked the deuce on all of them. So, I mean, we really sit there and think about it there. Strength and conditioning was an issue last year. And that's why we had the injury bug. So, you know, maybe it's going to be better this year. I do believe that if it is better this year, we're definitely going to be a lot better than last year. And just like old Captain Jack said, 8-8 is 100%, and I'd be happy with that, just to know that we actually got 100% better. Because 4-12, man, we can't be hanging out down here too much longer, especially with us being able to move in a $1.3 billion stadium come next year. We've got to right the ship. We've got to get on track. And I do believe Gruden and Mayock are on the right path to do it. And I think it's going to show this year. I think everybody's going to be pleasantly surprised with
We're
what
still
this
too
team
optimistic,
has
huh,
been
Captain
built.
Jack?
You know we are, but it's you look at it, it all just looks so right. You can't. It's so hard to see me wrong in this. I don't know how Captain Jack does it.
He's seen a lot of
look at this
football.
roster.
It's only because I'm a bit older, and I've seen things that just totally just taking the wind out of the sails. So I've learned to be tempered in my enthusiasm. That's why I tell people, I said, man, you don't ever get in anybody's face and cheer until there is triple zeros on the clock and the Raiders have more points than the other people. I'm telling you that. It's because I've seen things that just make you curl up and die when Andre Rison gets a pass from Elvis Gerbach with triple zeros on a clock and beats you on a Monday night when you stayed up all night in Europe to watch the friggin' game. You know, when you see what is it, Mosi Tutupu, a one-man wrecking crew that's maybe 5'2" tall, wreck your ass in a playoff game. Things like this really piss you off. When you see Mike McCoy get a fumble from Rob Lytle and people know it's a fumble and you know you're going to be going back to the Super Bowl, but no, you lose in Denver in the AFC Championship game. And I'm not even going to go there, but yes, I will. A certain play in January in the confines of the snow in Foxborough, when you see what could be a winning fumble recovery because it was a fumble. And by the way, gentlemen, up until last year, that was John Gruden's last game as a Raiders head coach. Things like that are the reason why I'm jaded and look at things as always being not quite right, and I will be happier when I'm wrong. I'm telling you that.
I'm going to add on to that. Let's not forget about the index card game either. Let's not forget about that. Because us people in Texas remember this one. I mean, we do wind up getting screwed by the referees an awful lot, and that was no different right there. I mean, that why would you fold a card to try to put it in between the pole and the ball? That right there, that common sense, I guess, eluded old Gene when he decided to do that. But, you know, I agree, Captain Jack. We all have seen a lot. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than you are. I haven't seen as much, but I definitely remember the tuck rule, which, by the way, is a rule that has been abolished from the league after they finally righted their wrong. How many years later, when they screwed us out of the Super Bowl? You know, that was our year. And yes, we get screwed by. Let's hope that the NFL, with the way that they have been parading us around and how they've been talking about us, are going to be a little bit lenient on us this year when it comes to penalties. Kind of find that hard to believe since we did get Vontaze Burfict.
We got Burfict and we got Richie Incognito, dude. And we got,
right, so they're probably not going to lighten up on us at all.
All right, we're going to get flagged.
Well, hey, if we're going to get flagged, then let's look good doing it. You know what I mean? That's the way I feel about it.
going to get flagged, man, let's make sure that those 15-yard penalties are worth it. I mean, if we're going to get the flags, let's make sure that we knock those sons of bitches out.
Exactly.
Let's make them
That's right.
worthwhile.
Exactly.
That's right. Let's make it worthwhile. If you're going to get busted for a spear, we'll make sure that dude's got snot bubbles coming out of his nose. I mean, let's let's make sure that if you're going to hit him hard, and if we're going to get flagged for it, put him out. I mean, it's the Raider way anyway. We need to stop getting away from this new school style football where it's basically spare the rod and spoil the child, and get back to good smash mouth football where, hey, if you come down the middle, I'm going to light you up, and you're going to think twice about doing that again. You know,
That's
if
why
you
they
get
signed
up.
Perfect. That's why they signed Perfect. You know, Perfect, dude, nobody, when they get hit, nobody's going to want to, you know, get back up. Nobody.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm gonna leave you with my most famous quote, citing the great patriarch, Mr. Al Davis. Mr. Al Davis said, and I quote, "The quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard."
Exactly. Rule
Yes.
number 1, cheating is encouraged.
Raider rule number 2.
Rule number 2.
See rule number 1.
See rule number 1. And that's exactly how we need to play this game. That's how we've been successful in the past, and that's how we're going to be successful in the future.
See, that's the thing. Gruden understands that. Gruden knows the Raider mythos, you know, and he knows the new age game. And I think that's going to give us the edge.
There you go. Hey, guys, I've had a great one, but it's time for the captain to go up to the captain's quarters and do some other things. It's been a pleasure talking with both of you, and I will look forward to doing it in the future as well.
All right. Well, thanks for coming. You know, agreeing to come on the show as much as you can, and there's always room for you, and you too critique. And I think, yeah, this is a great time to sign off. So I appreciate y'all coming on to the Raider Invasion podcast.
Captain Jack, Raider Homer, thanks for having me. This has been a pleasure for me to come on here and talk with both of you. It's especially been enlightening, especially with a guy like Captain Jack who has basically seen it all. It's nice to get some good insight from somebody who can remember certain things that happened in our past, the things that most of us didn't ever get to see, which is actually amazing all on its own. Raider Homer, man, I do appreciate you and everything that you do. I love what you're doing with your channel. Everything seems to be coming together for you, and I really can't wait to start doing this podcast with you guys on a full-time basis.
All right. Doors always open, fellas. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks.
Raider Nation for life.
See you next time. That's right. You're from Captain Jack.
Raider Nation for life.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes, Raider Homer.
How's it going, Black Thanos? How you doing?
I'm good. I was just on the other line. That's why I sent you that text. I didn't want you catch me at a bad time or anything, but it's all Raider, brother. It's all good.
All right. Well,
So-
I'm sorry about that, man. The call with Captain Jack and Raider Critique, it ran long. We had a good conversation, man.
Yeah, Captain Jack, he's a OG, as we say. So I know he's got a lot of good knowledge. I've seen him on the road a few times over the years in various tailgates and games and travels. But you know how the nation moves, but that's a good thing.
Yeah. Are you going to be in Oakland week 1, right?
Yes, I'm definitely there, bro. This would be usually I take my vacation from work like the opening week of the football season. So I kind of got it down to a science now. So week 1 and week 2. So being that this is one of those rare times that the Raiders have 2, home games back to back to begin the season. For a long time, as you probably know, we usually will start on the road because of the Oakland A's still playing baseball. but I guess with the gluten factor and Antonio Brown, and they given us another Monday night slot, which I was surprised, especially after our record last year. But I'll be there week 1, and Black Thanos will be there week 2, and I'll probably stay in Vegas for a few days in between games 1 and 2.
So you're going. You're in New York, right? Brooklyn, New York.
Yes, that's the where Al Davis himself grew up, brother.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He was from Brooklyn, right? Yeah. That's cool. I mean,
Utica Avenue. That's pretty. I can walk there in about 15 minutes on a good day, as far as where his family settled in his early years. He was about 5 or 6 years old.
that's nice, man. And so you're a native, right, of Brooklyn?
Well, my mom brought me up here at 3, but I was actually born in Richmond, Virginia. So that basically being a state without any professional teams, and think about it, Virginia is like no man's land. A lot of great college programs there. So most Virginia people tend to be Redskin fans just because, they're the nearest thing. But I basically lived here most of my life in various parts of New York and was in the service for a while. So, but as far as growing up like Al, my elementary school years, junior high school years, some of my high school as well, were all in Brooklyn.
Did you play any college ball?
No, bro. To be frank with you, if I was ever on a college campus, I was probably visiting a girl or bringing refreshments for the party. So, so I didn't go to college. But I actually dropped out in the 10th grade. Just being rebellious and trying to find my own way. And I guess that's also probably why I was kind of genetically predisposed to be a Raider fan, because I've always kind of been different. I've always been someone comfortable in my own skin and like a non-conformist. And I guess that message, that mythic image of the Raiders, resonated with me at an early age. So, I vividly can recall watching the Super Bowl versus the Eagles in 1980 or 81 on a black and white television with an antenna that you had to put Reynolds wrap on. And then 2 years later, when they were in L.A., beating the Redskins, and I went back to school that Monday laughing at one of my teachers who was a Redskin fan. Here I am, knee-high to, average-sized man, just running my mouth and talking mad smack. Little did I know that would be the last title for a very long time. But I've never abandoned the colors. It spoke to me a long time ago.
Yeah. I've been a Raider fan since 1990, man. So I've been through a lot.
That's a good stretch, bro. Yeah, Raider Homer. That's an excellent stretch, and for you, I respect that, because that wasn't necessarily the strongest period for us, but we were competitive because Art Shell made history during that time period, and I do remember that championship game with Buffalo. Yeah. Just broke our hearts basically, and we were still strong, but then things kind of got a little rough for a good while there. But
well, how are you feeling about the Mark Davis era?
Well, I have met him a few times at the Commitment to Excellence dinners, taking pictures with him. Of course, like anyone else, I was sad to see Al go, but we all will leave here one time or another. I think he's done the best he could with what he knows. I think that Reggie McKenzie, though I was critical of some of the things he did, in terms of some picks that I didn't agree with, but he was very adept and capable at fixing up the financial mess. And I think he helped Mark Davis a lot as far as stabilizing things and slowly turning things around and trying to change the course of, bad contracts to big names who were, no longer, performing well. Like, I will be honest with you, the Antonio Brown move, I was a bit apprehensive about because I immediately thought of Randy Moss. And if you remember, Randy Moss was the scariest, deadliest wide receiver in the game when we got him. However, we got a different version of Randy Moss when he came to Oakland. But I'm gonna stay optimistic and hope the kid has a chip on his shoulder and wants to really prove something. But that's a lot of money. But I have no major issues with Mark, and also I don't agree with a lot of the nation that has vilified him in terms of the whole Vegas situation. I think his hands are really tied. A lot of people tend to forget that he did make an effort to even keep the team at least in California. But however, we lost the vote, and LA preferred to bring the Rams all the way back from St. Louis. And of course, the Chargers were the other team to go to LA. And you and I both know the Raiders remain extremely popular, extremely strong in Southern California, Los Angeles in particular. It's been said by some that there are actually more fans in LA than there is in Oakland. I don't have no scientific data for that, but
I don't know about that, man.
Well, I do know a gang load of Raider fans, brother, who travel from LA religiously for every game in Oakland. And you have to remember, many fans don't realize this, but prior to 2016, the Raiders never sold out a season. That's actual fact. You can Google that
I remember
right
that.
now. With all of those legends and greats that we had to wear this uniform, we never did it. And thank Mount Davis, the upper tier has been topped off now for years. And me traveling from 3,000 miles away, I've never really had great difficulty in getting good seats. I mean, it's always been reasonably priced compared to most other venues. But and this is I'm not making any dismissive statement about the nation folk in Oakland by no means, but this is more evidence of how global how the Raiders are, and I think Las Vegas understood that. And it's my opinion that the city of Oakland basically took the Raiders for granted. And they felt they could push over Mark Davis because he's not his father, the general. That's what I call Al, the general. And lo and behold, here came a city to say, look, we will put up $750 million. Now, there's a lot of folks who believe that the city of Oakland should not be responsible for partially funding a stadium, but 29 of the 31 stadiums are publicly funded. It's simply the way, that's the way business is done these days. And with the booming gentrification and the cost of living out there in Oakland, there's a lot of things that's changing out there. And I don't think that the new demographic, whereas the housing market is exploding out there, the rents, I can't begin to tell you, Raider Homer, of the Oakland natives I know who had relocated because they simply can't afford it out there no more. So I don't think there was any real priority for the city of Oakland to keep the Raiders and the fan base and the demographic that some people look down upon. But when the NFL owners made the vote that gave the Raiders the green light, that's when Mayor Libby of Oakland all of a sudden, to save face, put on some press conference. And it was basically too little too late. So I can never blame Mark Davis for that. He may not be the most handsome guy in the world, but
had the best haircut.
But that right. but he doesn't have the best barber. But I believe he was sincere in his efforts to do what he could against. And you got to remember, he's not as rich as some of the other owners as well.
Right, and
So
I think that's what a lot of Oakland fans kind of miss, right? And I'm at risk saying this, all right, but Mark Davis, right? He wasn't rich enough to build a stadium like what's the other guy in L.A. Kroenke or whatever. He wasn't rich like that,
right?
But if where I think all that got messed up, man, is because remember the Ronnie Lott deal, right? They kept trying to come at Mark Davis, but they were trying to take the team from Mark Davis as much as they could, right?
Right.
So Mark Davis is not going to give up his team. You know what I mean? But I remember Mark Davis wanting the site. That's really what he wanted the most, was the site and the parking area around the site. And that they would figure out where to go. They would demolish, once the A's got their stadium, they would demolish the stadium, and then they would go play somewhere else while the stadium was built, and then they'd come back. That's the way I remember it. And now, see, the way I think Libby took the side of the A's, thinking, you know what, I can get the A's to build their own stadium, plus they have more games, so I'm going to make more money. And so they started with the A's, and the A's, they squatted on the stadium, right? They sat there and said, no, we're not moving out of the stadium. And so that made Mark Davis say it had to kind of come up with another route, and he took the Las Vegas route. And then what I think the slap in the face is that then the A's decide to move. Like they chased Oakland out, and now the Warriors are going back to San Francisco. The A's own Oakland,
basically.
So, I wish that the Raiders would have stayed in Oakland, but I think that the politicians they picked the wrong side, and you get taxed out the ass when you go to California. Like the tax money was there.
Oh yes, brother. That's right. The BLT business license tax that they collect from everything out there. The rents are booming. The real estate market. They're making money hand over fist out there. The tech companies that's building and investing out there. But you just made a very honest and accurate evaluation and summary of basically what went down. And I understand the emotional attachment for many of the fans was made prevent them from seeing it objectively. So, Mark Davis makes a easy bad guy because, let's face it, he looked like a James Bond villain or some disfigured Dick Tracy villain. But we have to be honest and objective in the world of business. And just like you or me, no one can unfairly expect us to sell something that our father left us.
Right.
Just because you think we're not rich enough or qualified enough to have it. That's morally and fundamentally wrong.
And then think about how much the Raiders could have changed. They haven't changed their uniform. So who's to say that the new owner wouldn't change the uniform? They don't retire numbers. Who's to say that the new owner wouldn't retire the number 12, but in his newest quarterback who wears the number 12? You know what I mean? And then Stabler doesn't get to retire the number. There could have been so much that changed.
So
I'd rather see it in the Davis family.
I agree with you, brother. I genuinely do. And to Mark's credit, he's shown a considerable level of integrity because he could have just took the money and ran. Like some other businessmen would say, why put up with this headache? No, he knows that's something his father literally built from the ground up. And again, his father being from where I'm at, Brooklyn, and being a child fan of the Yankees, and he said one day when he grew up he wanted to build a franchise that incorporated those elements of power and speed and dominance and the perfect balance. That kind of gave him the blueprint to, and he's a man who's done it on every level as far as Al Davis, as a scout, as a GM, as a coach. He wasn't all that great as a player. Exactly, that too. But when he went to Erasmus High School here in Brooklyn, funny enough, I tried to get in Erasmus because, it's primarily a art school. and I took my portfolio, but I didn't get accepted into going to another high school. But, you know, he was kind of like a backup player, so to speak, but it's kind of befitting because even Al himself was like that underdog, but his mental acumen and his intelligence and his drive, you know, that's what made the Raiders what they were. You know, he never gave up. Just because it wasn't meant for him to be a player, he became something much greater than any player, you know. So I will always respect that man, and I just like you, I can't put all the blame on Mark Davis because it's not fair or accurate. And when you're playing in one of the oldest stadiums, or not the oldest stadium in the league, and you're watching everyone else in recent years get new places, you know, whether it be the Cowboys or the Rams or the Vikings or this team or the Falcons down there in Atlanta, you know, we're a flagship cornerstone of this league. You know, I mean, some of the most storied history of this league is attributed to us. We deserve that. I'm gonna miss the nostalgia and the memories and the moments, and of course, mainly the people, the nation. Yeah. The tailgating and the camaraderie and stuff like that. It's a tough pill to swallow, but as you just pointed out, it could be a lot worse. Someone new takes over and call the team the Comets or something. Yeah. You know, there was talk about the Raiders even going maybe to St. Louis or Memphis or San Antonio. That would have almost put me in a suicidal depression, brother. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, not me. I was happy about San Antonio, but.
Oh yeah, well, San Antonio's a rocking town. You know, you're in Texas, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Austin.
Yeah, because I was in Fort Sam, Houston many years ago, so I would travel to San Antonio. I got to see the River Walk and all that stuff. So I like the vibe down there. But as far as Memphis and St. Louis, I would have been depressed. To me, Vegas was like the perfect medium. Yeah. It was a brand new market. There was a fan base there already who travels, to the game. And Nunes
predicted it, right?
That's right. So, you know, and Al was really fond of the city.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the general would vacation in Vegas all the time. I think at one point that's where he always spent his birthday, July 4th. And as some of us know, oddly enough, he shares a birthday with George Steinbrenner, who's, you know, the deceased owner of the Yankees, the same team that influenced him as a child, Al Davis. So, and they had some similarities. It's just kind of odd they were both born on the 4th of July.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's okay. So if I'm gonna go, I'll go back and I'll talk about the Oakland fans, right? Because like, no matter what politics led to the Raiders leaving, I think that's what we're gonna miss the most, right? Is the Oakland fan base, you know. Like I said,
right.
I wish they would have stayed there. You know, I want to make sure that I don't, you know, talk down on the Oakland fan base. You know, I want to pump them up as much as possible because, like, what they do over there is nobody else does. What they do over there inspired the rest of us. You know, so you know, hopefully, you know, like the work that Gorilla put in, and the Violator, you know, and now the Mob Boss and all them. Those are some big shoes to fill. You know, and it's not going to be the same when we move. They're right about that. It's not going to be the same. The whole tailgate experience is going away. You know, but damn, man, you just wish that the politics would not have been involved, or you know, the politicians would have worked with Mark. You know,
I agree with you, and everything you said was on point. You know, that's always been the Mecca right there in Oakland.
That's right, the Mecca.
So much history. And though, you know, we have to remember they did spend a good amount of years in L.A. So I think of those L.A. fans as well, and I'm sure a lot of them were a little upset when they left in '95 to go back to Oakland. But they continued to get on those Southwest Airlines flights and made their way to Oakland Black Sunday to support their team. So I think, we can learn something from that. And even if the Raiders did get a brand new stadium in Oakland, some of the same concerns we would be facing, like, it's going to cost more money simply because it's a new stadium and they got to recoup. Seats are going to be more expensive. You're not sure if the tailgating layout may necessarily be the same and stuff like that. So, some people have brought up those points, but whenever you build a new stadium, there's going to be a price increase. Yeah. That's elementary. That's going to happen. But there's been a lot of.
This is no longer $1 million. The NFL is no longer $1 million company. It's $1 billion company. So prices are going to go up, and that's the thing. A lot of people that complain about the prices going up are the same people that are like, pay that player, pay that player. Well, the more players that we keep paying, that's cost more money. That's why things continue to increase the prices. But,
that's right. But you've had a lot of great ones in the nation. There's no one who do it like us. Win, lose, or draw, we stand tall. And I've always said, you don't become a Raider fan, you're born one. But at some point in time, you discover it. Because I think it speaks to a certain mentality, a certain spirit. The Raiders always had, from their inception, kind of being boys of counterculture and even progressive values as far as the things that Al Davis done in terms of promoting equality,
right,
and giving everyone a fair shake. And a lot of people fail to remember that it was Al that drafted the first black quarterback in the first round in 1968, the same draft we took Stabler. That was very bold then in 68. That was unheard of.
Well, that was Eldridge Dickey, right?
Yes, that's right, bro. And, of course, we know Tom Flores, and he also made history as a Mexican QB and obviously as a Super Bowl winning coach, and he should be in the Hall of Fame, obviously, as well. But, and then in those days in Oakland, which all of that rich folklore and history that endears us to the tradition, you would see the Hell's Angels on the sideline, literally, Sonny barging them. You would see members of the Black Panther Party there, but everyone was together. There was a mutual respect because we all understood each other. We were like all of the outsiders drawing strength from each other, and that's why Al could, look at certain players around the league and say, I think that guy would make a good Raider, even though he may be misunderstood where he's presently at. So I think that's the greatest glue that keeps us bonded and puts us a degree above everyone else.
Yeah,
I always say there's only. That's right, brother. There's only one nation. Everybody else is nothing but fan club.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone infringe on the trademark.
That's right. One nation.
That's right. And I love the thing that you do with the Raider Homer persona, and us as super fans, we kind of follow the tradition of reinvention, which the Raiders have reinvented a lot of players into their own mold, and they came aboard and became more successful, like Jim Plunkett, whose career was going nowhere with the Patriots at the time we got him, and lo and behold, he wins 2 Super Bowls for us.
Coming off the bench, right?
That's right. So when we take certain characters, it tickles me to death, but I love it. Whether I see Raider Savage or Raider Elvis, Raider Storm. You can go down the line, Violators, and we lost a lot of great ones along the way. Oaktown Pirate, rest his soul, Radio Gloria, Ron the General. We lost some really strong soldiers along the way, but you see that you can't keep us down, and every year, you see more and more of the creativity and the dedication, because it takes a lot of dedication to do what we do.
And not just the
So-
not just that, but the support. Like like I started this channel, right? I mean, dude, I was just in a fan and the Silver and Black of Central Texas, right? Just a diehard Raider fan. I knew about some super fans and things like that, but I didn't know how rich the culture was. You know what I mean? And so when I start to venture out in the culture with my little idea, you know, the support from the Raider Nation, you saying, yes, I'll come on your show. And then everybody else has come on the show. I mean, that's what it's about. You show up and everybody has your back. And yes, there might be some feuds here and there, but I mean, those feuds get put to the side. You know what I mean? When it's game day. You know, I mean, the Raider Nation is awesome, man. It's awesome. It's a great thing to be a part of. And yeah, the super fans are super creative. Like for me, you know, the I guess you could call it a double entendre or whatever. You know, it's got two meanings. The Raider Homer. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, I'm always defending the Raiders. You know, but I'm also kind of you know, goofy too. You know, and it's just it fits my personality. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you have a black colored can of Duff beer too?
Nah,
that would. Oh, okay. Yeah, that would really kill it right there. But you know, and that's part of what drew. Oh, excuse me. That's part of what gave me inspiration as well in the guise of Black Thanos. You know,
I want to ask about that. What I mean, you know, Thanos is a great character. So like, when you're watching that movie, you know, what made you make that Raider connection when you're watching Thanos?
Well, to give you a little backdrop, you know, being a big comic book head as a kid, I was first introduced to Thanos in 1977 in Avengers Annual number 7, and which cost like 60 cents. And then a few years later, in the early 80s, there was a graphic novel called The Death of Captain Marvel, which Thanos was a great part of, written by the creator of Thanos, Jim Starlin, who I'm connected with on Facebook.
Sweet.
And so for many years, I've been fascinated by the character, you know. So like a lot of Raider fans do, I say around the time of 2015 or so, 2014, 2015, I adopted the name, and I had a previous mask that looked more like a skull mask that you would wear for like war games or whatever, because you know it was tough trying to get actually a Thanos mask. You know, I always had, and eventually, I believe early 2016, a person who hooked me up with someone who does very well with special effects. I think he worked in some Hollywood sets, actually custom made the mask that you see me wear. So it covers the entire head, even the upper chest plate. As you can see, it's very detailed and intricate. Well, yeah, that's another way to put it too. So that particular mold or mask you can't get anywhere on the planet. Trust me, because prior to me having that made, and it cost me quite a bit of money, I looked everywhere, eBay or foreign sites, whatever. Now, since the Infinity War movie came out back in 2018, you can see some crude models or some cheaper made models, probably from China, of Thanos mask. But if you look at it real closely compared to mine, you will see a very distinct difference. So I was geeked for the movie, you know, being a fan of the character for a long time, but I just thought it was a natural marriage, you know, as far as Thanos and the Raiders, you know, just that dark, brooding, powerful, intimidating presence. And you know, so it just felt very natural to me. So when Black Sunday comes around and I'm visiting a stadium or city or Oakland, you know, it's a very ritualistic thing. You know, I tend to listen to a lot of metal on Sundays, though I'm well versed in all genres of music. But when I'm going into the Black Thanos frame of mind, that's the music that kind of bring him out. Do a lot of pacing and you know, it's a real heavy moment. Yeah, basically, bro. And thanks to my core four partners, which stands for the Coalition of Raider Elite, my good brothers, Damon, Corey, William, a.k.a. D-Train, a.k.a. Raider Suave, a.k.a. the Archbishop. When we're together at a lot of these games, when I have the mask on, I really don't have great peripheral vision. So when kids or grandmothers or, Raider Nation brothers and sisters approach me with pictures, I don't necessarily always see them because, my vision is, is very narrow.
Yeah.
Because, my entire head is covered. And, of course, my ears are covered. So they kind of like my eyes and ears to a great degree. And they gently remind some people, no, he's not ignoring you. He might literally can't see you because you're standing, maybe to the left of my shoulder, But even my movements are very calculated when I'm in that persona, when I'm in that spirit. I move deliberately a lot slower. If someone says something to me, say, oh, can I take a picture? I'll maybe hesitate a few seconds before I nod because they're looking at the seriousness of the face.
Yeah.
So it's there's a lot that go into it. And unlike Gorilla, who I love, I don't mind people seeing what I look like because there are times where I have to take that mask off or up just so I can wipe my face and do what regular people do, eat, drink, and stuff like that. But it takes a lot of dedication, bro, because you always want to be accommodating, you always want to be humble. I'm always appreciative of the love, but it's not really about me. I'm just one of many. We're only as strong as the weakest link. It's like Raider Nation is one long, continuous chain, and I'm one of the links in it. And everybody has their own creative expression. That's what I love. It's like even me with damn near 40 years in this as a fan, not necessarily as Black Thanos, but even me, I continue to be surprised by the creativity of some of the fans, who's willing to show their love and their dedication and take it to that next level. Now I don't know how that will translate in Vegas, but I'm hopeful, none of that will change.
Well, I think, in my honest opinion, of course, like Raider Jack's there in Vegas. Like, remember, the Violator moved, I think, from Mississippi to California to become a Raider fan. I've thought about moving to Vegas. Right. There are a lot of, fans that are going to do that that are going to carry on the tradition of the super fan. It's just never going to be the same as Oakland. But I don't think that's going to be a big deal. And also, I think the next step in super fandom is things like podcasting, and networking and coming to get like my idea is to bring like the East Coast, the West Coast, the Texas, and the North, and the Midwest and all that Raider Nation, and put them through one channel, and I think that's what's going to happen next because, the NFL, from what I kind of hear, they're kind of shying away from tailgating as it is altogether, but we'll see what happens there. But I don't think super fandom is going to go away. It's just going to evolve into things like what I'm doing. Because I'm not the only super fan that does it. Captain Jack, he does it. Or, of course, they don't call him a super fan, though. But, he does the podcasting thing.
So he doesn't necessarily like the phrase, huh?
Right. No, he just wants to go with the diehard. He doesn't like to separate himself from the rest of the Raider Nation.
Right. Well, yeah, I understand that. And I'm not necessarily, I don't carry it like a badge of honor. You can call me anything but something derogatory. So,
right.
I think the Raider Nation as a whole, the fan base is super.
Oh, yeah.
We've always been extraordinary. Even in the collective impression we make when we travel so well across the United States. Whether we're in quote unquote costume or not, our reputation, precedes itself. We're known as extremely loyal, among other things. So, and we remain the original nation outside of all these other fan bases, trying to copy that.
Yeah.
So the entire fan base is super. if you want to put it that way. That's how I feel about it. So I'm Black Thanos is no greater, no more important than Violator or Grim Raider or anyone else. We all have a unique contribution. We all bonded together by love for that shield.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the nation is everywhere. There's just the regular diehard fan. There's the super fans, which, of course, like you say, we're all super. But there's also the clubs, and so I'll use that as a segue, right, to get you to tell me about the Silver and Black Empire.
Okay, yes, sir. I got involved with the Silver and Black Empire, I guess, around 2012, but it was actually in existence on a smaller scale even before I got involved with it. I think as early as 2010 or so, but I don't want to be quoted on that. However, over the years, it has evolved and became the official New York City booster club of Raider Nation. So it is officially and legally recognized by the Raiders themselves.
That's awesome.
And every Sunday in the football season, we've had many visitors from all around the country. Some famous, some just regular beautiful fans who stopped in and heard about the place. Peter Dillon's, 130 East 40th Street, not far from the Empire State Building, as a matter of fact, on the east side of Manhattan, right off of Lexington Avenue. When they come in that place, they almost feel like they're in Oakland because they just feel such a authentic aura of devotion, dedication, and everything is rated out. And, and the diversity, as you spoke about, is there. There are people there with all types of jobs and titles and stuff like that. But all of that goes out the window when we're all collected together and just on one accord and basking in the unity and the love for the nation. So the Silver and Black Empire also is a strong supporter of the charity done by Raider Hall of Famer Fred Lickendorf and his wife in memory of their daughter. And every year they do a crab feast for the foundation that they have, which, assists young women in various stages of domestic situations or drug issues or being displaced, stuff like that. And they turn their personal pain into purpose. So while their daughter may no longer be here, they're doing a great work by providing housing and support and training and love to a lot of young women out there. So they do this crab feast every year, and the Silver and Black Empire has been a sponsor of that. And we usually show up 50, 60, 70 deep, and dress up and support the cause. We will be out in Oakland again this year for the Detroit Lion game that weekend. And that Friday before the game will be the annual crab feast done by Fred and his foundation. Anyone even remotely interested or curious about that or think they would like to support, just do a quick Google search or contact Fred directly, I guess, through social media to get more information about it. I don't have it right before me. But it's a great cause, and we are proud to be involved with it. But the Silver and Black Empire has been gaining in notoriety, and we're just happy to be among the ranks. And people sometimes will ask me, well, how did you become a Raider fan in New York? As you and I both know, Homer, Raider fans are everywhere around the globe. Worldwide. And New York is no exception. So it was great for me when I discovered the place in 2012 to say, wow, so I'm not alone, though I knew there were fans here, but just to be in a place that felt like Oakland, but away from Oakland, right in my backyard, and cheering the team on and making new friendships and everyone having love and respect for the Shield. So And I'm also glad and honored to serve as one of the members of the executive members board of the Silver and Black Empire. Though anyone can join and check the website and order a membership kit, which will give you some promotional items and stuff like that, but I just happen to be on the executive board.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna run for the Silver and Black of Central Texas position, Sergeant at Arms. Yeah, I want to be more
That sounds
involved.
good, brother.
Yeah. I mean, so I can appreciate, the work that you would put in as an executive member of your board. I've seen my board put in a lot of work, and I'm eager to get in there and help them. So that's cool that you do so much. As a traveling super fan and a board member of the Silver and Black Empire.
Thank you so much, and what you're doing is a great benefit and service to so many in the nation through your podcast and linking people together, giving people in the nation a voice, being sincere and committed to this. That's really what the nation's all about. Just being there for one another.
Oh yeah.
So I commend you for that. And Texas, I've noticed Texas got a lot of love for the Raiders down there. I know some stand up Raider fans down there.
Oh yeah, the Texas Raider Nation is huge down here. It's we got multiple clubs under the Texas Raider Nation umbrella. We do events.
Wow.
We do events together. Player football camps. I mean, it's thick down here, dude.
I'm thinking about the Houston game, but I haven't made a final decision about that.
Oh man, if you
are
can
you
get
going
down
through
there,
that?
oh yeah. Space City Raider Nation. They're a part of the Texas Raider Nation, and Izzy, the president down there, man, they can host. They know how to host, man. When the Raiders went to the playoffs, there was a Monday night before, and Gorilla Rilla was there, Charlie Boots was there, King. Oh yeah.
Right.
If you can make it, if you want to come to Texas, and come to that game, man. It's gonna be a blast.
It's on my radar, bro. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I would be remiss if I did not share that when the Raiders come to New York, November 24th, to play the Jets. Matter of fact, they will be visiting New York for the next 3 years, believe it or not. But once again, Silver and Black Empire will be hosting, and there's some great things that we're lining up. The tailgate is going to be just off the chain. There will be transportation for those who need it to the actual stadium, Jet Stadium, from our, actual bar. So Captain Jack will tell you, brother, he was at the last one some years ago in 2014. In fact, I have him on video as we were all out there and the weather was freezing. And of course, we weren't that great that year, but it was a legendary time because we were together. And even the late, great Oaktown Pirate was there as well. So we're gonna do it even bigger and better this year. So all of those in the nation are welcome. We're waiting on you with open arms and some very special things lined up for that weekend. So even though that's a tough time for some people to believe that's the Sunday before Thanksgiving, but by all means, if you can make it, you will not regret it. That's November 24th here in New York for the Raiders versus the Jets. Oh man, it'll be great. Great. Yeah, you'll be when you see me and you see how everything is done, you'll be like, yeah, you told me, bro. You were right.
Cool, man. Well, I can't wait to get there, man. And I appreciate you calling. It's been a great call, and I can't wait to have you back on, man.
Thank you, Raider Homer. The pleasure. It's been a pleasure and honor. Keep defending the shield. You got my support. I will spread the word about your channel and your show, and and your efforts, and most importantly, your love and respect for the shield and for the nation. So, on behalf of myself and Black Thanos, I thank you. And when you see me, don't be afraid to approach. I don't bite.
You're not gonna snap me away, right?
No, I'm working on that. I don't want to snap away I'll snap away the bad half of the nation, but it's not that many bad apples in the nation. But
And bring some balance, right?
yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why I wear the number 69, as a matter of fact, because it kind of symbolizes the yin and the yang symbol, the balance and everything. So
that's awesome.
But thanks again, brother. I appreciate the moment.
All right, cool, man. I appreciate your time, man. Like I said, I can't wait to have you back on.
It's the most exciting time of the year, brother. It won't be long now.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I'll see you in Oakland in September.
All right, cool. Raider Nation for life.
Raider Nation for life. Thanks.